Welcome to Overtime, a Beyond the Whistle mini episode featuring your favorite hosts. I'm Alex East.
And I'm Andrew Vincent. On this week's mini episode, we're going to run through last week's playoff highlights.
Let's kick things off with the Eagles versus Giants game.
Let's do it. It is not a good week to be a Giants fan.
No, it is not. It is
definitely
a crazier game than I intended it to be.
Yeah.
I thought the Giants were going to give them a little bit of a run for their money, but they gave them no money.
A lot of people were really hopeful after, their previous game. They looked well, and, they played well.
Yeah.
Saquon had a really good game. Daniel Jones had a really good game.
I mean, if you look at Daniel Jones' stats...
Yeah,
he didn't, his stats don't read that he had a horrible game.
He didn't pass it a ton. He was 15 for 27, 135 yards with an interception. No touchdowns. So they weren't able to get a whole lot going, as we're probably about to see here pretty soon. But it was mainly the Eagles.
Yeah,
pretty much
definitely.
Throughout the whole battle.
The Eagles ran the ball really well. Surprisingly enough, their leading receiver was Devontae Smith with, 61 yards?
61 yards, 6 receptions, 61 yards, which isn't even huge, really.
Isn't huge, but he was a major factor in the game, and he looked really well. And I'm starting to like this connection between Hurts and Smith. I think he's starting to develop himself as one of the better receivers in the league.
It's a dangerous duo for sure, because now that you have that as a factor, A.J. Brown as a factor, just as big.
Yeah, and then the running game was awesome with Miles Sanders.
The running game was huge. They had 200 yards rushing from the running backs, 112 yards from Kenneth Gainwell, and then 90 yards from Miles Sanders, with another rushing touchdown from Jalen Hurts.
And the defensive line of New York just got actually pummeled through, and it was kind of embarrassing. I felt particularly bad for.
Yeah, that was not good. Not a good game, which sucks because, the Giants had a really good year and something that they should be. No one expected them to be in this position.
I mean, there is so much development that happened this year for the Giants, and they have a lot to look forward to. I mean, they have just the pick of Kayvon Thibodeau, which actually proved to be a very good pick for them this year. Didn't show much against the Eagles, but that's okay. And the Eagles were actually, surprisingly, one of the mid-year critiques I had about their defense was that they couldn't stop the run really well. And then you go up against one of the best runners in the league, and they did phenomenal. So.
Yeah, and in my opinion, I think the Giants should have tried to run it a little bit more, stick to the run a little bit more, because Saquon did have 61 yards on 9 carries, which isn't a lot of carries to reach that amount of yards. So I think if they would have stuck with them a little bit more, it would have helped. But it's tough because you get so behind so early. I think the Eagles scored twice, off the bat. 14-0. You kind of find yourself, okay, you got to start passing to get back into the game.
And also, it's just in the NFL, you can't just run the ball. I mean, you have to have both weapons. If not, it's pretty easy for defenses to read, regardless of who your running back is. So
100%.
I think that they have a lot of building to do. I think especially on the wide receiver end, they can definitely develop those positions a little bit more. But I do think there's some hope in Daniel Jones over there.
You think so? You think they should pay him?
Yeah. I think so.
Pay him the big money?
I think he could work on his accuracy a little bit, work on throwing the ball a little bit, but he runs the ball really well. He has pretty good awareness, so I think it's definitely, he's going to grow.
Yeah, I guess it's just tough because then you pay, I think Saquon needs to get paid too.
Yeah,
so,
that's the thing. I mean,
I feel like they potentially might lose one of them. And then
I don't think Daniel Jones will leave, only because of the fact that I don't know who would pick him up.
That's true, but if that's the case, do you really want to pay him?
I know.
And here we go. Looks like we got some highlights of the game, and pretty much it was Eagles.
Yeah, it was Eagles the whole time.
Right off the bat, boom, making their
Devontae Smith right there, yeah.
Connection.
And the thing, Jalen Hurts this year comparative to last year, his accuracy with his arm, he's not just a throwing quarterback anymore.
He didn't even run the ball that much this game.
Yeah, he did have one rushing touchdown.
He did have a rushing touchdown because he's really good in goal line situations.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he's a decently big guy.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen his workout videos, of him squatting, deadlifting, he was a power lifter back in the day. Like, he would compete, like, lifting heavy weights. So that's why on, like, those quarterback sneaks and stuff, like, they can really, like, I think they're 100% on the year. Like, he's a very powerful
I mean, one of the things we
runner.
mentioned, too, this was a tight end week for sure.
100%.
I mean, tight ends had a lot to showcase this week, which I think was one of the things we'll talk about later that Dallas didn't do well. But even the Eagles utilized their tight end a lot in this game, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard because when you watch the highlights, it's hard to justify, like, the bad plays, you know what I mean? But
yeah, it's just tough because, like, in these situations right here, you're down 7-0. You know, even if you don't score, you at least want to put them in bad position. But at the end of the day, the Eagles get the ball right there at half, and they're going to do what they do. And Gainwell had a really good game, surprisingly. He's not their leading rusher, but he played really good this game.
I thought the DBs for the Giants started kind of dropping off a little bit, and it opened up the middle of the field a lot.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised that they did, especially going down 14-0 so early.
Yeah.
I would have kind of pressed more, but I'm not a coach, so.
Nope. And then here's that Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown connection we were talking about. They've really picked it up for sure, especially in the playoffs.
Jalen Hurts. A.J. Brown.
Did I say A.J. Brown?
Yes, that's
Devontae Smith. I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, Devontae Smith. But what I was going to say about A.J. Brown is that he really didn't do too much in this game.
No, and we talked about it. What, do you have 3 receptions?
Yeah, like 3 receptions, 22 yards roughly. And he was kind of, I don't know if we're going to see that on here, but it was making a little bit of noise after the game. He was kind of throwing a little bit of a fit on the sideline because he wasn't getting the ball. I don't think it's a huge issue. They've had a great year, chemistry-wise, him and Hurts all year. I think just the Eagles are loaded, and they're showing that here, that anyone can get the ball, anyone can make plays.
And once you also get into the realm of the playoffs, I feel like you can't just be throwing to one person. I mean, you have to have variety, and that's what they have, and that's why I think their offense is having so much production because of the depth that they have on this team.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go pretty far.
Well, we'll see after this weekend because they got a big game coming up with the Niners.
Yeah, which is going to be a major defensive game.
That's going to be a clash of the Titans right there.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Jalen Hurts is going to perform with the pass rushing that the Niners are able to facilitate. So, yeah, that'll definitely be interesting.
I think this will be the Niners' toughest challenge, though, because not only are they playing arguably the best team all year, you know, from start to finish. The
offensively,
Eagles,
probably.
Definitely offensively.
Yeah, other than Kansas City.
Because they never lost when Jalen Hurts was actually, that's a lie because they lost to the Commanders. But almost undefeated with Jalen Hurts at the helm. So, but yeah, it's going to be an intense matchup because Brock Purdy's going to have to go into Philadelphia, and they've had a lot of these games at home.
Yeah,
so,
and we're going to see how far that confidence can go.
Yes.
But I would say that, you know, the addition of Christian McCaffrey will help a lot, especially against the defense whose run defense is hasn't developed as much as we would have wanted to. I still think that would be probably one of their bigger critiques on the defensive end for the Eagles. So I think that if the Niners can really utilize the run game, I think that they could actually have success against the Eagles.
100%. But if I'm the Eagles, I'm looking at what the Cowboys did because the Cowboys did a really good job against the Niners. We'll take a look at that, I think, coming up here.
Yes, I agree, but the Eagles don't have the defensive athleticism that the Cowboys have. I mean,
that's a fair
I don't
point.
think they have the pass rushing.
Oh, see, like right there.
I know. And
like that's how you know it's not your night because obviously the game's already over.
Definitely.
But you got to at least get some garbage time points, and that's just a walking touchdown.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah. Well, that's
rough. Yeah, I mean,
at that point, you're just trying to make something happen, and you know, you still have to the one thing you don't want to take is a sack.
Yeah.
When you're down.
Yeah.
The one thing you're not taking is a sack.
Yeah.
So that's where the awareness, I feel like, of Daniel Jones could be a little bit better.
Well, that used to be his issue, is that he was kind of very turnover prone, which he kind of shook off those demons this year. Obviously, this game.
I know. 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, though. You're down 31-7.
I do want to say though, like, the Giants need to go out in free agency and get a receiver, I think.
Yeah, no,
they need to make a trade
absolutely.
like all these other teams are, like Philadelphia with A.J. Brown or the Niners with Christian McCaffrey. Like, these players, like, are difference makers for teams. And I think that the Giants are on the cusp of something really good, but they need a little bit more. But they still should be very proud of.
And I was going to say, I mean, their defense looked pretty decent this year, obviously, other than being against the Giants.
Yeah, 100%. But all right, I think it's time. Let's move on to our next game. We got the Bills and the Bengals. And
it was a pretty anticipated game last week for sure.
Yeah.
I was excited for that game, not at all how I expected it to go.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. But.
Well, I don't think anyone expected it to go that way. I did have the Bengals winning because I have the Bengals going to the Super Bowl. But I definitely expected it to be more of a close game than what it was.
I expected a better offensive performance from the Bills because that's kind of what I feel like their forte is.
Yeah.
They had no production at all. But again, we said, we look at the stats. I mean, Josh Allen had what, over 200?
He had 264 yards.
Yeah.
He threw it 42 times, completed it 25, but 0 touchdowns passing and an interception. I think that a lot of things were exposed for the Bills.
Absolutely.
In this game. I think
defense especially was exposed in this game. The secondary was so weak. In this game, they were just getting blown through.
Well, yeah, the Bengals really showed that they're just the more dominant team. They were running the ball better. Joe Burrow was passing the ball better. The receivers were making more plays. They just played an all-around better game than the Bills, and we'll see it here pretty soon. But
I mean, I wouldn't say it was the Bills' best performance of the year. I'm starting to feel like there's something, I don't know, the inconsistency. We said like about 3 quarters through the season, Josh Allen started to kind of have the turnover started to pick up.
You started to see it picking up that this could potentially
be an issue. And not that I'm going to sit here and say Josh Allen isn't great. I think he's can be a really great quarterback. He doesn't protect the ball very well at all. That's something he needs to work on. And there were just a lot of other factors. One of the things we had mentioned was they could not run the ball. They could not run the ball.
Josh Allen led the Bills with 8 carries for 26 yards. He did get in the end zone. He had a touchdown rushing.
But still, your quarterback should not be leading your rushing.
No, they have no running game. They kind of were going to Devin Singletary at some point mid-season. They got Dalvin Cook's brother. Totally forgetting his first name, but he's a cook, so he's got it in him. But yeah, they just don't run the ball very much, and you know, in a game like this where you can obviously see that it's snowing.
And this is at home too.
This is at home. This is in Buffalo, so I mean they should be used to this. But you can just tell that, you know, that's 10 yards per. They were getting like 6 to.
I mean, Joe
7
Mixon, I thought had a phenomenal
run.
Performance.
Oh, he was a vital part to their success because. The fact that they could run the ball, get like 6-7 yards per carry, opens up stuff like this, so Joe Burrow can find Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about him all year. Other than the fact that he was hurt, he came back and he's hurt, and he's still one of the leading receivers in the league.
100%.
Which is pretty impressive.
See, I felt like this was a big issue right here, like right there. It's 3rd and 4. You need 4 yards. But Josh Allen, he looks for the big plays.
I know, and this always looks for the big play.
Always.
This is a conversation we've had before of when to be smart and just get those 4 yards.
Exactly.
And when you're going to throw it deep downfield. He has that winning mentality that almost comes to his fault.
Yeah.
Because
he's
just looking for the big play every time, and you don't always need the big play. And that's pretty easy for a defense to read as well.
And obviously, he's still a very young player and has a lot to learn, so I think.
I thought the offensive line for the Bills, I did not look at the injury report before the game or if there were any injuries, but I thought the offensive line looked pretty weak for the Bills comparative to the beginning of the season where no one was getting through.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the defensive line part for the Bengals, but.
Well, the Bengals defense has really picked it up for sure.
Yeah.
And
oh my God, yes. And their offensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, what a shift.
And you can obviously see here that, I mean, the snow was coming down. Like, it wasn't lightly coming down. It was...
Khalil, by the way,
Khalil,
Boise State alumni.
Bronco. He's been good for the Bills. I like him on the Bills.
He's definitely, towards the middle of the season, he started to actually play and get some yards and some receptions. So that was really exciting to see. And then him being utilized in the playoffs is really awesome,
100%.
too. I kind of felt like something like this was going to happen. Just the performance that the Bills also had against the Dolphins last week was such a poor performance. And
Yeah.
I know that they got the win, but it was...
They're almost lucky to be in this position.
They absolutely are.
And I think that, yeah, they need some changes in that.
They do have
a
a decent amount of injuries on the defensive side, obviously.
They didn't have Von Miller.
Von Miller was out, and then the DeMar Hamlin thing.
Mm-hmm.
They were missing a few other guys, I think, on the defensive line as well, who were producing pretty well for them at the beginning of the season.
100%.
So there were injuries, but I mean, every team has injuries, and
Yeah. Every team has injuries, and their coach is a defensive coach.
yeah.
And
And this was a poor excuse of defense, in my opinion.
Not a great defensive performance for sure. I mean, it's tough. You're going against Joe Burrow, an up-and-coming star.
And what did you say about Mr. Joe Burrow before this?
Oh, I did say. I said
Yeah.
he gives me Tom Brady vibes. So I think that, I don't know. He just got that it factor where, like, you just believe he can beat anybody, anytime.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Cool as can be.
And that's one of the things that Bengals head coach actually said. The more pressure that gets put onto a game, the calmer he is.
Yeah.
For some reason, he just never shows any, like, nervous emotion. He's always calm. He's always positive no matter what. That was one of the major things that was said about him after this game was he's always positive. Like, players look to him because he's not going to put them down. He's never going to be negative, and he's just cool and collected.
Yeah, the Bengals freaking are riding for Joe Burrow at this point because they know that they can believe in him and that he's going to show up.
One of the things they did in the offseason was to develop their offensive line, especially last year, too, after the major injury Joe Burrow's first year.
Yeah.
That was the factor. They said, we believe in our quarterback. We just need to build an offensive line around him, which that play specifically, I do believe that they did that.
Yeah,
So,
what a hurdle. I remember watching that play. That was a big because that was third down, and then that allowed them to get to this position. Because right now, I mean, even though that the Bengals kind of ran all over the Bills, it's 17-10 at this point. So they could have potentially made a stop, gotten back into contention, but down goes the Bengals, and they go up 24-10, and then about from this point on, it's just again 3rd and 2. He's launching the ball down there. Like, obviously, that was a good ball, and he should have caught that.
That should have been a catch, yeah.
But you just need the 2 yards. You just got to get that first down to continue the chains.
That could also be, reflected on play calling too on the offensive coordinator and not maybe just Josh Allen.
True.
And I think just the Bills in general have that winning mentality, and they're always throwing it down the field. I mean, if you watch most of their games during the season, first of all, they don't really run that much to begin with. So that's something they need to develop because better defenses get better at reading that. And they don't even throw like 5 and outs.
Nope. They definitely need a run game because, like you said, defenses can pick up. But, like, Josh Allen goes Superman mode most of the times, like, to get the Bills, like, wins. Obviously, they have good players, Stephon Diggs and
that was major.
Gabe
he
Davis.
Showed some major frustration.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll
with
see
Josh
that here.
Allen, actually.
Yeah, on the sideline, he was, what? Give me the ball. But I didn't like that. I thought that was a little bit, considering, like, obviously he wants to get you the ball. Like,
I mean, Stephon Diggs has shown that in the past. He wants to win more than anything.
Yeah.
We've seen him when they lost to the Chiefs, I think. He's standing outside watching the celebration.
Yeah.
In that conference championship. So, I mean, he showed the frustration before, but yeah. All right. So, moving on, we're going to go to kind of like a shocking game here, the Chiefs-Jags.
Yeah.
Something that was a little different than what I was expecting personally.
Yeah.
Only because I think it's shocking because I did not expect the Jags to perform as well as they did, like at all.
Really?
Against the Chiefs, no. I didn't think that their defense was going to be able to hold. I thought it was going to be a 40-point game for the Chiefs.
Really?
I did.
Okay.
Did you? Is that only me?
I was expecting a closer game than that, for sure. I thought that the Jags had shown that they can kind of hang with anybody.
Yeah.
And something about them getting down, like, gives them some sort of motivation or something that they can, like, come back on anybody. So I was expecting somewhat of a close game. It turned out to be 27-20. Chiefs took the dub, but I think part of that, you may have been right if Patrick Mahomes didn't tweak his ankle halfway through the game. because he might have been able to do a lot more and put more points on the board if he wasn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, so he goes out and he is telling them, I'm fine, I'm going back into the game. And the coach was like, and he's fighting with the athletic coordinator, athletic, well, I can't
yeah, exactly.
Fighting with them, head coach, offensive coordinator. They say, no, you're done. Take him back into the locker room, x-ray him, no damage on the x-ray. So at that point, they're going to let him go back in. I mean, there wasn't any substantial damage or anything like that. So,
which is obviously good to hear if you're a Chiefs fan going into this next game, which is a big one against the Bengals. But
Travis Kelce, this is who we wanted to highlight this game. Travis Kelce had a career high.
14 receptions.
Yeah, for 98 yards and
2 touchdowns. Yeah.
Like we said, major, as we'll see in the next game too. It was a tight end playoff game for sure.
Seriously.
Which I think is kind of exciting to watch because I think the NFL, way more than college, utilizes their tight ends a lot more. There's a few college teams who really, like Georgia is one of those teams who really throws to their tight ends a lot, and Michigan. But I love watching like tight ends in the NFL.
A lot of these tight ends are very versatile, because they're big, they're fast, they're too big for cornerbacks, but then they're too fast for linebackers. That's exactly what Travis Kelce is. That's why that he's so good, because it's like, who's going to defend him? And then obviously you have Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball. I think this might be oh no, I thought that might have been the play that he got hurt, but yeah, pretty much. It was a close game.
Yeah.
For the most part.
I thought there was pretty good pressure from the Jags, and that was one of the things that I was impressed with. Is I did think that they got pretty good pressure on Patrick Mahomes. Kind of, he got frazzled a couple times. Obviously, he's so good at getting out.
Yes.
Of that pressure, which is why he's so good at doing what he does.
Yeah.
Really
good run by Jermichael Hasty. But. Yeah, I mean, for the Jags, I mean, it's not like they played bad. Trevor Lawrence, 217 yards passing. He had a touchdown.
One touchdown.
He did have an interception, which obviously turnovers are huge. They can swing the game, swing the momentum, just like that.
Yes.
So
absolutely,
that's honestly a big thing. Isaiah Pacheco, though, he has been huge for the Chiefs. He's
adding a new element to their offense that they lost, I feel like, last year, which is really exciting to watch. As much as I don't want the Chiefs to win, I think it is really exciting to watch.
It is. It reminds me of back when they had Kareem Hunt.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
When they had that guy who just a power runner. Exactly. Instead of obviously Clyde Edwards-Helaire he's a good running back. He's from LSU.
He's not a power runner though.
He's a small guy. Passing down kind of guy.
He's quick and he has the shiftiness. But I do think that they needed a power runner.
He's not even playing though at this point. They're running with Jerick McKinnon and then Isaiah Pacheco. So they're not even playing.
He'll go in for some plays.
Yeah, a couple plays, but
I thought Trevor Lawrence looked.
Trevor Lawrence he's an up-and-coming guy, up-and-coming star.
When he first entered the league, I was like, oh, he's not going to be as good as everyone thinks he's going to be. And a lot of people didn't think he was going to be as good. And obviously after that first year, he didn't perform. But the Jags had so much they needed to fix.
That was back when they had Urban Meyer, too.
Yes.
Urban, that was just
I mean, but no one would expect Urban Meyer. I'd say he's one of the best college coaches.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think there was from the beginning. I don't think
there were issues, and don't hate on my Urban Meyer, okay? Because I'm a Buckeye, and Urban won us a natty.
So in the NFL. I mean,
yes,
it's still
fun. So did Nick Saban. Yeah.
Nick Saban. It's very possible that you can be really good in college and not good in the NFL.
Yeah, but I just think that they had so much work to do, and it wasn't even a quarterback issue. I think Trevor Lawrence, he's what, 6'6"?
Yeah,
he's like Justin Herbert.
Yeah, but he's shown that he's can do more than Justin Herbert, honestly, in my opinion, at this point. I think Justin Herbert's like the star-studded,
well, they just fired their
fanboy,
offensive coordinator, so I think there are more issues happening.
We shall see. That's a separate conversation.
Yes.
But
I'm starting to become impressed with Trevor Lawrence because he's beginning to do what they wanted him to do from the beginning. He just didn't have the other elements to be able to do that. And they've kind of started to round this team to where I think they could be a playoff team like every year.
100%. That's why they drafted him number 1 overall. And I think getting Doug Peterson was a huge thing, because a coach can change the entire franchise.
Oh, absolutely.
They're like bringing the culture almost, you know? So Doug Peterson has won a Super Bowl with Philadelphia, going to a team like the Jags, who doesn't win a whole ton, but you know, he's a Coach of the Year candidate because of that. You know, he's done really good this year.
And I think it's similar to the Giants this year too. Like, just making it to the playoffs this year was a major step in the progression of the franchise in general. So I think I'm excited to see like these teams like the Giants and the Jags starting to make it to the playoffs and starting to actually perform in the playoffs. It's exciting to have new teams again. Versus, like, you know, we've had those years where it was just the Patriots and, you know, or
Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly, Green Bay. And obviously, lately it's been Patrick
Mahomes. Well, yeah, I don't know if you saw that stat. It's like the last 5. He's won the last, or been to the last 5 AFC Championship games. So hasn't won all of them. He's lost 2. I think been to 3 Super Bowls at this point, but only won 1. Either way.
You had a very controversial thing to say about Patrick Mahomes the other day.
What did I say?
For people who wouldn't like Patrick Mahomes. You should tell it to our viewers.
Wait, what did I say?
How he's going to be better. Oh, no, you didn't say that. That's my bad. Someone made a comment to me that Patrick Mahomes will be better than Tom Brady by the end of his career.
He's got the potential.
And what I think is that Patrick Mahomes will not have the longevity of Tom Brady's career.
Yeah, that is the only thing.
That would be hard to do.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they're so different, though. They are completely different.
Well, that's why people say he could be, because what he's doing is he's doing what Aaron Rodgers is doing, where it's like, whoa, like, that's the best guy that I can visibly see. But, like, Tom Brady is the one that always wins. He's just doing both. Like, he's like, holy cow, like, what did I just watch? And then he's also getting the results. So I think that could potentially get him up there. But at this point, he's got 1 Super Bowl. Tom Brady has 7.
I know.
Like, it's so far away that it's tough to look that far ahead. But for the last game we have the Cowboys and 49ers, which was
this was the game I was the most excited for. And I said from the beginning it will be a total defensive game. It was actually really exciting. Obviously, if you're a Dallas fan, getting absolutely roasted on social media can't be fun. But it was a really exciting game, and surprisingly enough, like, it was like a field goal game for sure, which is how I expected it to go, because both defenses looked really good. I think the Cowboys did a really good job of maintaining the run game from Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy.
Defensively, the Cowboys did everything
they could have done.
They did everything. You had one guy in George Kittle who 5 receptions, 95 yards.
That's why we said it's a tight end playoff weekend.
It apparently was, because.
But I think when defenses do a really good job of stopping those receivers and the run game, like, that's how you develop offenses, through your tight ends. Because that's I mean, when you have someone like George Kittle though and Travis Kelce, I guess defenses are looking at those players, but their main priority is stopping the run when you have someone like Christian McCaffrey and then Deebo Samuel, you know, as a receiver.
Well, the Niners are loaded. They got Deebo, they got Brandon Ayuk, they got George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. And they did a really good job at stopping those guys. Obviously, George Kittle was the one that kind of stood out there, but the Cowboys defense did everything. I thought what happened in this game was the Cowboys offense underperforming. Granted, they're going against the best defense in the NFL.
I understand, but for me, it was also play calling too. I thought the play calling for the Cowboys was horrible.
Well, I hate when they run up the middle with Zeke, like, and they get like 2 yards. Because it just doesn't do anything.
I think Zeke would almost be better in like a fullback position. I mean, obviously that one play didn't show his blocking abilities, but he was known so well in blocking in college. And he came to the NFL, and he is a really good blocking running back, and they use him a lot for that, which is almost why I feel like his role has kind of changed a little bit in the NFL, and I feel like he would almost be better. I know that a lot of teams don't really utilize the fullback position anymore, But I think it would be interesting.
It would be interesting. I think they should have probably gone to Tony Pollard a little bit more. He only had 6 carries, but granted, he did get hurt a little bit later in the game. CeeDee Lamb was definitely the
CeeDee
one
Lamb
bright
is
spot.
going to be a franchise wide receiver.
Yeah.
And the fact that Denver did not draft him and drafted Jerry Jeudy first still haunts me in my nightmares. But he's phenomenal. He makes plays happen.
He had 10 receptions for 117 yards.
Yeah.
So he was making a lot of catches, a lot of plays in this game.
And they like to throw the ball deep to him because he's a really amazing route runner.
Yeah.
And he can get open.
And then it's not like Dak, it will show signs.
I know.
And
this is what we talk about all the time. And people, I get so
ugh.
frustrated when people are like, Dak is so good. I'm like, Dak is not
no,
that
he's not.
good.
I think he's just. I think it's funny. I've heard a nickname.
He gets
middle of the pack Dak.
Yes.
Like he's just like
Yes.
so like he's like Kirk Cousins to me. Like he's just like he's more glorified Kirk Cousins. Like he's like what,
Well, the problem is that you have, especially this year, right, when their defense is so good and they have a team that can potentially win the Super Bowl. And then the problem is I feel like they've gotten so okay with just making it to the playoffs. And I feel like that's all Dak can do. Similar to Kirk Cousins and the Vikings.
Yeah.
Getting to the playoffs can't just be it for your program.
What were the Vikings? The Vikings, oh my God, like they might be the best team in football, like one of the best records, lose first round in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because they just, I don't know. Like I think
That
Dak's
can't
a
be
good
the
guy.
standard.
Yeah, like
But
and
Dak,
he's done it multiple years now though. So it's like
they choke every year.
every year.
I've said that from
But I'll
the
tell
beginning.
you, the turnovers are what lost them this game.
Yeah.
Because it's like Brock Purdy didn't even do that good. He was 19 for 29.
It wasn't
214
a major
yards.
throwing game either. I mean,
It was a defensive game for sure, but he didn't have a touchdown, but he also didn't have an interception. Dak had 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, they lose by, what was it, 19 to 12?
yeah,
So,
there's a lot of inconsistency with
those are
Dak, and I
possessions.
feel like he's either playing like a really phenomenal game like last week against the Bucks, or he's just not consistent and accurate throwing the ball. He isn't safe with the ball. He doesn't protect the ball when he throws it.
He's a little bit
I
too
don't know.
risky, for
I was
sure.
super impressed with the Cowboys defense.
Oh my God! And then Brett Maher was just having a rough.
And it was
2
gonna go
weeks.
out
Yeah.
even if it didn't get blocked. He is lucky it got blocked.
Probably because
Because
that
was like
embarrassing.
going, and it wasn't going in.
Yeah, that's. So
Yeah.
okay, see at this point, yeah, it's 6-6 going into halftime. So
No, it was a complete defensive game, and it was actually kind of exciting to watch because we don't really see a lot of that anymore. I feel like.
yeah, and that's also good to see Dak mobile. He doesn't do that too often anymore. It's just right there. I mean, you know, it just can't
The
happen.
Niners, both teams' defenses looked so good.
Yeah.
Looked really, really good.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested going into the next game, right? We have the Eagles versus the 49ers, which will be
Yes.
so interesting to watch because the Eagles' production offensively has been so great. And the Niners, I mean, obviously you have a brand stinking new quarterback. I mean, his confidence has been kind of unreal.
Well,
but
he's got the best record I think all time at 7-0, 100%, never lost.
yeah, so I think
So-
it'll be super, super exciting. I mean, I don't know about you, but
Oh no, this will be the game to watch for sure.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, speaking of a play, like these are plays like that when they just got that fumble recovery that they have to capitalize on.
Yep.
And if you don't capitalize on plays like that, you're never going to win games.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, that goes for every team, you know?
And I forget if they scored here or not. We're about to find out. Nope. Yep.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah. These are things that they just have not been capitalizing on.
And then Brett Maher, ooh, at least he made that one. Yeah, he. I don't know, for all of you that don't know, the week prior, he missed four extra points.
Yeah.
In a row. Like, unheard of. Like,
I mean, he could have been fired, like literally.
probably should have been. Like,
Yeah.
but at the same time, are you going to find a replacement kicker a week
Before
in, like,
a second round playoff game
yeah,
or
it's just
third round
like, okay, you
playoff
kind of
game,
got to stick with him at that point, which is what they did. But
Yeah.
that definitely wasn't why they lost. I mean, Dak just, whoa, what a catch. I didn't
No,
see
CeeDee Lamb is
that was a
phenomenal.
phenomenal catch.
He is very lengthy. He kind of reminds me, like, he's not as skinny as Devontae Smith, but he
Yeah.
kind of has the length that Devontae Smith has. And I think
he-
they're from the same class. Or no, Devontae Smith is a younger. One.
I think
year
you might be
younger.
right. I think they were from the same class.
No, Devontae Smith is one
Was
year
he? Devontae
behind.
was with, I don't know. But, yeah, no, CD, that was a phenomenal catch. But, yeah,
he definitely
he'll be
has.
good.
Yeah, he has that length. He has the reach. I'm just interested to see where the Cowboys go from here.
Yeah.
Only because there have been talks about Dak. Dak has always been a controversial topic for the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's just like.
And I am interested to see like what Jerry Jones is going to do here. If he's going to want, but then it's like, who are you going to replace Dak with? Because he's getting you to the playoffs, and I know that shouldn't be the standard.
Yeah.
But who are you going to bring in to replace him that can still get you to the playoffs, if not do better? You know what I mean? Here's what I think. You draft a quarterback. You let that quarterback develop under Dak for a year or two, and then similar to what we talked about the Seahawks, right, and Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Having a veteran quarterback, you get someone new, you develop them a little bit under. I mean, kind of what Aaron Rodgers did, but he had Brett Favre, so that's a little
because
different.
at this point, you're not doing bad enough to where you're going to get a super high pick.
Yeah.
But then you're obviously not succeeding enough that you're like, this is our guy.
I mean,
so you're in
their
a tough
pick
spot.
placement would be tough because the quarterback class this year is going to be really good, and they're going to go high.
Yeah.
You have C.J. Stroud coming in. You have.
I'm so excited. I really want the Seahawks to draft. It's off topic of this, but I really want the Seahawks to draft Anthony Richardson from Florida. Yes. It's perfect. 2 years behind Geno.
Yeah.
He's going to be like Jalen Hurts 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think the Cowboys have to do.
Yeah. 100%.
Or at least go out. I love, what's his name? Is he the Jags backup?
Gardner Minshew?
I love him. And the fact that he is not a starting quarterback blows my mind.
He's good. He's good for sure. I think, like signing
I think he's better than
this was a really tough one,
a fourth of the starters in the league.
Oh, yeah, because they didn't get this play. They ended up reversing this. Yes, but to your point, Gardner Minshew's a really good player and a really good backup for the Eagles, too.
Yeah.
To have.
Oh,
so
yeah, Eagles, sorry.
And then here's that last play,
He definitely was on the Jags, though, right?
He was, at some point,
okay. That's
at
where
some
I got
point.
it
But
from. Yeah.
overall, definitely not a great game for the Cowboys.
I mean,
just not getting
it
it
wasn't
done another year.
a horrible game, though. That last play, though, I mean, you got to give it a better effort than that.
But it's just like
you have your running back blocking at center.
Yeah, that was stupid. I mean, but at the end of the day, that's still the last play. Like,
it
up until
matter,
that point.
Give yourself a better opportunity.
Yeah, they need a better.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I feel like most
games. That's why
games.
I feel like the play calling was very, very horrific that game.
Yeah. I mean, they got a good coordinator, though, Kellen Moore, fellow Boise State alum. But I don't know. It's just tough because
I know.
It's like they play like, it wasn't horrible, but
well,
then
that's
it's
what I
just.
said. There's a standard, and their standard right now is just like.
It's just not getting it done. Well, if you have to rely on the fact of like, is Dak going to play good tonight? Like, you just don't know. Like, you never say that about Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, like those guys. You're not like what are we going to get from him tonight? Like, is it going to be good Dak or bad Dak?
Similar situation with the Dolphins and Tua.
So those are, and obviously it's impossible to always get those perfect guys. Like,
I know, but
to
it
find
should
the
be
Joe
like,
Burrows, but you gotta get more consistent production from the Cowboys. But yeah.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to our mini episode this week.
And we will see you next week on Beyond the Whistle, where we will discuss NFL playoffs, NBA All-Stars, and NHL season updates.